So, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish was wonderful. I know it, you know it, we all know it. It's the best movie DreamWorks has made in years, probably the best Shrek movie, and one of the all-time greatest of their entire oeuvre. No, I haven't seen every DreamWorks movie, but let's face it, you never watched Home either. So it's great to see that the studio has finally returned to form, releasing disappointing misfires. You know, I just realized that DreamWorks may be the Sonic team of animation studios. No, that's not true. Sonic Team is more consistent. So, in the spirit of hoping for the future, here are 3 movies which may serve as an analgesic for the particular itch that Poo-Boo has instilled in you. Meow. Did you want to see another debonair cat swashbuckle his way through dastardly foes in a fairy tale pastiche? May I have the pleasure of introducing The Cat Returns? You may bow. Baron Humbert von Gickingen is the titular cat who is indeed returning, but the movie is actually about Haru, an adorable Japanese teenager. Relatable traits include being late for school, not having a dad, and clumsiness. One day she saves a cat with her baseball club from getting a 4-wheel shiatsu massage. It turns out that the cat's actually the crown prince of the Cat Kingdom, which I imagine is located somewhere near Yugoslavia. As a reward for her kind deed, she's spirited away, unwillingly betrothed to the prince, and forced to undergo an experimental species change. Back in the old country, we call that the Saturday Night Special. The movie proves what we all knew. Cats are assholes. So the Baron and his friends assemble to rescue her. The Cat Returns has the distinction of being one of the few Studio Ghibli movies made before Hayao Miyazaki's sabbatical to not be directed by either Miyazaki or his compatriot Isao Takahata. Instead, it was directed by Hiroyuki Morita, and is still the only movie that he ever directed. So it's not bound to the house style that defines the studio's other works. Backgrounds are painterly, and character designs are simplistic, but the trade-off is exquisitely fluid animation. The movie is true to its fairy tale nature, the way that the cats behave with such gravity, even though their civilization is obviously absurd to us. A lot of the movie's best visual gags are along the lines of normal thing, but if it's cats. Look, they're wearing little Prussian uniforms. It's like a children's storybook come to life, which is also the downside, because it's about as substantial as one of those stories. The second act is too short. Haru isn't in the Cat Kingdom for even 10 minutes before she's trying to escape it. And that's because the movie lacks a compelling core conflict. The movie wants Haru's struggle to be that she doesn't know where she belongs. It's thin soup though. She doesn't really seem to have a major problem with her life in Tokyo. She entertains the idea of being the cat princess as a whimsy, not as a serious choice. She's a winning heroine with nothing to win. It's still a lovely little movie though. Like a tea cookie, The Cat Returns is light but sweet. The Cat Returns is suitable for all ages and is currently streaming on Max. Did you want to see another movie about resurrected talking animals haunted by their imminent mortality? I know it's a very specific subgenre. All Dogs Go to Heaven was released in 1989, and might be director Don Bluth's most accomplished work, at least to me. It was beset by the infinite misfortune of releasing on the exact same day as The Little Mermaid. But if you were growing up in the 90s, you probably saw it at one time or another. It may be, old-fashioned in some respects, but it still absolutely holds up, and even outclasses some movies these days with how much it's willing to lean into darkness. In New Orleans, in 1939, Charlie B. Bargain has just broken out of the pound with his best friend Itchy and is primed to return to running his casino. His old partner Carface doesn't feel like splitting the dough, so has Charlie whacked. After a brief stint in the hereafter, Charlie crashes back to Earth to get revenge, with the caveat that he can never again return to heaven. He absconds with Anne-Marie, a little girl whom Carface kept enslaved because she can talk to animals and know who'll win the next race. With her help, Charlie rebuilds his gambling empire bigger than before, but Carface has other plans, to finish off his old friend for good. And if all of that sounds uncharacteristically bleak for a movie that looks like this, well, welcome to Don Bluth. His films were almost always defined by their tension between the sinister and the saccharine. All Dogs Go to Heaven manages that balance better than most, but the tone is still a little uneven. There's an entire cheesy song about the virtues of sharing, which I always forget is in the movie. And not even 5 minutes later, Charlie is having a nightmare about being tortured in hell by Satan and his imps. But that nightmare and other scenes are why I love the movie. It has no hesitation delving into life's unpleasantness, and it uses talking dogs to make that exploration more palatable. My favorite song in the movie occurs when Charlie is in heaven and conniving to return to life. He's got everything he could ever want up here, but he sings about how the chaos and the unpredictability are what he loved best about being alive.
There's sun, they said there'd be snow. When all's said and done, it's fun not to know. What keeps my heart humming is guessing what's coming. Let me be surprised.
The movie seems to be saying that the good parts and the bad parts are all a worthwhile part of living. Charlie himself is a great protagonist because, like the movie itself, he puts on a fuzzy, warm-hearted exterior to conceal his grimier nature. The reality is that he's almost as much of a deceitful bastard as Carface. He just knows how to have a good time. When he finally comes around to doing the right thing, it feels powerful because there was genuine doubt whether or not he could. All Dogs Go to Heaven's plot machinery may be a tad creakier than what you're used to, but the harrowing visions within ensure that you won't forget it for some time. All Dogs Go to Heaven may not be suitable for young children, and is currently streaming on MGM+, Roku, Hoopla, and Tubi. Did you want to see another folklore-influenced movie about a motley gang of travelers defending themselves against evil forces? Then may I present Kubo and the Two Strings. Kubo lives in a cave by the sea, taking care of his very unwell mother. To pass the time, she regales him with stories of his dead father Hanzo, a great warrior, and how Kubo's grandfather, the Moon King, took his left eye. Kubo is imbued with a little bit of magic himself, and he uses his meager gifts to tell stories in the local village, raising enough change to buy some food. His mother warns him never to stay out after sunset, or the Moon King will find him. So one night he stays out after sunset, and his evil aunts are sent to claim his other eye. Rescued by the last of his mother's magic, he must now journey to find the 3 enchanted pieces of armor, which will empower him to stop his grandfather, helped along the way by a talking monkey and an amnesiac beetle samurai. Leica Studios are probably the second biggest stop-motion animation studio in the world, just behind our tea-guzzling friends at Aardman, but somehow they can't quite seem to find a footing in the popular consciousness. Even though these movies are just as extravagant as any you'll find from the big boys, Kubo and the Two Strings was their 4th movie, and their best, the culmination of all their mastery. It's an adventure movie, but it's not obnoxiously rousing. Instead, it's filled with quiet. Characters and their voice actors perform much more subtly than is typical of kids' animation, and the movie isn't obsessed with having jokes every 60 seconds. It's far more true to those old folk tales, more evocative of their solemnity and danger than the Shrek extended universe is. The cast is quite small. Usually it's just Kubo, Beetle, and Monkey, but that's a good thing. It makes the story feel more intimate, especially since Kubo experiencing a functional family unit for the first time is so key to the film. Be sure to tell me what that's like, kid. It's not enough that something looks great, but that it's joyous. That's what can make great visuals ascend to something that will stay with you.
And when I told those stories, I could see her eyes were mostly clear. I could tell she saw me. Really saw me. I could see her too. Her real self. Her spirit. Trying to find its way out. It was beautiful.
This is one of the most ambitious stop-motion movies that I've ever seen, and is the pinnacle of the craft. I look at some of these scenes and feel nauseous, thinking about how many weeks it must have taken to produce, but they come off so effortlessly that you can feel the warmth of the animator's love radiating from the screen. You may see some of the twists coming, but Kubo and the Two Strings is resplendent with love, and delivers it not as a lecture from a podium, but as a handwritten letter. But y'all slept on this movie. I didn't. I saw it in theaters with a friend when it came out, because I'm better than you. Stop-motion movies never do well at the box office, but this is just depressing. Fortunately for you, you have a chance to correct your grievous mistake. Unfortunately, at the time of this video, Kubo and the Two Strings isn't streaming anywhere, though it did used to be on Netflix. Here's hoping it comes back somewhere, but in the meantime, try checking your local library for it. Oh, eBay has used Blu-rays of it for $5 to $7. That's where I got my copy. Okay, no more video. Go do your homework.